the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet, baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Well. Greetings out there, all across this great land of ours and around the world. It's that time once again, for the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk. From Real Conservatives, I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we are here to do what we do on a daily basis. That is to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the politics of religion and the religion of politics. And boy, if there's ever the best example out there that we're seeing today, the religion of politics, it's out there just rampant across the spectrum of the media elites. Just they're in DEFCON 1. That's the phrase I've been using the last 24 hours. DEFCON 1, trying to circumvent our current president, Donald Trump, in doing very much what the Congress has been doing for the last 8 years, and that is preserving their self-perceived importance, power, and prestige, and not doing a very good job of it. One thing about leftists, if you piss them off bad enough, they'll show you what idiots they really are. And we are seeing that on full display across the entire media spectrum. So a lot of stuff going on here. I didn't know what I was going to open up the show with today in particular, but Joe had mentioned to me just before the show here, the big hoopla-doo that Donald Trump is taking over, making some references to activity out in Sweden when he was in Florida over the weekend. And everybody's like, including, I guess, some Sweden officials. Oh, what are you talking about? What deal? Well, it turns out maybe he was prophesying more than he was reporting on what was going on, because lo and behold, what's going on out there? They're having riots as we speak right now. Now, what you want to report on that, Joe? You brought it to my attention here. I think you probably know more than I do about it.
Yeah. So this is Virginia Hill at Breitbart, right? And she's here she writes, riots broke out on Monday that had been yesterday evening, Monday night in the suburb of Rinkeby, where a majority of residents were born overseas, just hours after the country's prime minister attacked U.S. President Donald J. Trump for linking mass migration with the rise in violence in Sweden. The riots, in which cars were set ablaze and shops were looted, resulted in the Stockholm's suburb looking like a war zone, according to a journalist who was at the scene. And here's the best part. The police retreated to a nearby gas station. In this country, it had probably been a donut shop. But these guys went to a gas station after being forced to fire warning shots as a group of around 30 thugs pelted the officers with stones, according to Expression.
Yeah, well, are they allowed to have weapons? Do Swedish police have weapons?
Apparently they do, and apparently they're afraid to use them.
Yeah, gee, does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
There's your democratic republic, guys, or your socialist democracy, democratic socialist democracy over there. The police run from the rioters rather than running to them. They're running from them. And probably because, they're probably sitting there at the gas station going, God, I hope we don't kill anybody. We'll be ostracized. We'll be headlines in the news. We'll probably lose our jobs.
Yeah, we better not do our jobs.
Yeah.
Protect people. We better just let this thing burn down.
Yeah. So maybe Trump was just maybe a little bit more on the prophetic side rather than the reality side. But even so, he was reporting that there was violence over in Sweden, and it was due to the immigration situation, just like what's going on over in Germany and some parts of England. We've had reports from all the areas over there where
France and Belgium and all across Europe. This is going on.
Yeah.
But, Donald Trump's crazy, man. Oh, he's out of his mind. Here's fake news. That's Donald Trump. Yeah, okay. No. Keep burying your heads in the sand, people. This is what's going on, and this is what those who want open borders, this is what they want coming into your backyard. Plain and simple.
So, and when you talk about the crazies, about everybody thinking Trump is crazy, I was just looking at it yesterday. I haven't really read in depth because it's pretty much, it falls into my definition of fake news in the fact that it's a false narrative created to advance an agenda or an objective. Al Franken's leading a movement right now with, I guess, some of the other people in the Senate to invoke the 25th Amendment and try to get Trump removed from office because they believe he's mentally unstable. Just like, see, every time that somebody floats something out here, people really need to understand this about the left. Anytime they float anything out there, I mean anything, it could be innuendo, it could just be them talking off the cuff about something. Well, I think maybe this or maybe that. I guarantee you, when you hear it from them, you need to understand that they are basically leaking the next narrative that's coming out. Now, Al Franken 2 weeks ago came out and just suggested that there were several Republicans who questioned the mental stability of Donald Trump. Just, not everybody on the Republican side, but a few. Okay, and we could probably guess who those people are. It doesn't take any stretch of the imagination. But the point being, now it has gone from, let's talk about this now, the impeachment of Donald Trump. The way it's first started floating out there. Well, we want him impeached. Well, we can't impeach him. He hasn't really done anything. And then the little elements of the impeachment narrative have been coming out little by little. His disregard for Congress, his labeling the press fake news outlets, all these things, his decisions on foreign policy so far, his selections to the people of cabinet so far, all these things indicate what? Somebody like Franken gets out there, of all people, Al Franken, as the walking point on this, some people think he's mentally unstable. And the reason they think he's mentally unstable is because he refuses to function within the template that they've created for handling everything. Not only Congress, but the media also. It's like he's not responding the way that everybody else responds. And because of that, he must be mentally unstable. Doesn't he know that we're the establishment? Doesn't he know that we, the media, we run the show? We direct the country in the direction it should go? Doesn't he understand that we're the players here and he's the pawn? And Trump is just basically saying, no, man, I'm the player. You're the pawns. And they can't handle that. So it's interesting to watch here. But I thought it worth noting here that 2 days ago, Donald Trump makes mention of the fact there's something going on in Sweden. Everybody makes a big deal. He doesn't know what he's talking about. What riots are you talking about? And lo and behold, boom, the country's going up in smoke. And it won't take much to burn Sweden to the ground. It's not that big. So it is what it is. It used to be a nice, peaceful little country to go to. Now it's not so much.
And they can't handle it. They don't know how to handle this. Of course they don't know how to handle this. This is not... It's a clash of cultures going on. What do you expect to happen?
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if this kind of magnifies, if it kind of goes. Let's see if it gets any bigger than it is. That kind of thing. So, anyway, let's do this. I see Audrey's trying to call in, so let's go to our break, and then we'll hook up with Audrey here and get her on here for her segment with us. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
We're not arguing. We're explaining why we're right. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
We need to keep illegals out.
Am I not speaking English?
TheConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American.
All right, hey, we are back, and you are listening to none other than the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got with us right now Audrey Russo doing her weekly segment with us, and we want to give you a happy belated birthday last Friday to Audrey. I know we had something all prepared for you, but then you decided you'd rather spend it with somebody else than us. So
sorry. Boy, that's a kick in the stomach. Okay.
So therefore, we didn't do that. But happy birthday, and we wish you many, many more. You're very deserving of everything that you have and everything that the good Lord has prepared for you. So how are you doing today?
Yeah, that was so kind. Thank you. I'm doing good. We're just watching everything that the president is doing, which is always really good. This is getting interesting. It really is.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start the conversation with you today because everything is evolving so fast, and it's hard to really just pick out, a lot of what I would call normally minor news, but of course everything is being blown out of proportion. Particularly, we were just talking before the show, the big thing about Donald Trump talking about riots in Sweden over immigration, and everybody was lambasting saying, what are you talking about? And lo and behold, we find out today that because the prime minister over there made fun of Trump, they've got riots over there now. So,
yeah, well, we've only been talking about it for a few years now, and of course he brought it to the forefront. And of course it's the truth. I mean, but my friend Mona Walter, that she says she's going to be on again next week. She talks about it all the time. She's right there. Yeah. Everything he said is true.
Yeah.
And more,
Yeah. Well, we have some things we're going to cover here. We started yesterday. I don't normally do this. I don't normally spend a lot of time talking about other media outlets. Mainly one, I see them as somewhat as competition, but I also don't want to waste a lot of time talking about what they do. But the Chris Wallace show over the weekend was, I thought, in terms of what it was actually about and the people that were involved in it, I thought it was worth mentioning, spending some time talking about it. And yesterday, I think we talked about the interview with Reince Priebus. And I think we got as far as the interview with Rush Limbaugh. Am I correct, Joe? Is my memory serving me right here?
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we got the first Limbaugh. We didn't get to the second Limbaugh.
Okay, all right. So before I do that, though, before I get into that, I wanted to get your take on this. I have to be honest, and I hate to admit this, but I have to be honest. I have been really perplexed upon discovering this Milo Yiannopoulos guy.
Yiannopoulos. I know it's a tongue twister. Yiannopoulos, right?
Yeah. Well, I just was introduced to the guy just a few weeks ago. I didn't even know he was there, but he was out here, and he's even local. He's like 20 minutes away from me, and I knew nothing about this guy. And somebody on one of my social media pages mentioned that he was going to be at UCLA, and they wanted to make a bunch of them wanted to get together and go down there and watch the Dangerous Faggot Show. That's what he refers to it as. And I started looking at this guy, and I guess I just haven't listened to him enough or watched him enough. But the stuff I looked at, I said, he articulates some very conservative views. Of course. Now I'm finding out there's a lot of other stuff in between all those views.
Well, there's not just in between. I mean, his whole persona is that he's gay, okay? And he's not, he is a libertarian. He's not a conservative. He may have, I'll tell you he's correct on. He's correct on free speech and the crushing of it, on political correctness, and he's correct on Islam. But he is not a conservative, and for true conservatives to be jumping on board with him and promoting him was foolish, and I'm being kind when I say that.
Yes, you are.
CPAC, I'm not a big fan of CPAC, only because I've been observing what they've been doing over the years, and which is a reason I won't bother ever to go. Because for some reason I don't know what it is when what conservatives, well, I can't say that McCain is conservative because he's not, but there's something that they feel as if the left is cool and happening, and they're it, they get it, they're radical, they're edgy, we want to be like them. What are you, a schmuck? This is exactly what they've done now. So they put him, he's not conservative, and they asked him to be a keynote speaker. Yet and he is forthright when he talks about Islam. Yet My friends Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer were forthright, and they banned them from there. So they would not allow them to speak. Now, is there something wrong with them over at CPAC or what? Because he was edgy. They wanted to have him, yet he didn't exemplify, conservative values, did he? No. If I hear Big Tent again, I'm going to stick a big red nose and exploding shoes on the person that says it, okay? Because the only place for a big tent is a circus, okay? We don't have a big tent. We're either conservatives or we're not conservatives.
Yeah, I agree. I heard in one of the first things I watched in the video, he actually mentioned the fact that he was not a conservative, that he was a libertarian, and we know that libertarians sometimes cross over into conservative ideals, and but they do it with a different motivation and a different intent. But sure. I think the thing I have to be honest. I mean, I'm trying to think of the right words. I was rather entranced by him at the beginning when I first started listening to him, because I'm thinking the first thing that crossed my mind is how, and I get this with like the Lincoln Republican Club, the things like this. How do homosexuals reconcile their sexuality with conservative ideals? I'm like, I've never been able to quite get my head around that. And so I thought that kind of...
They don't reconcile it. Instead of trying, see, this is what's happening, and this is why I have a problem with CPAC, because they are not true conservatives, because they don't stand on those ideals. They start to become amorphous on the edges, and they start bringing people in. They say, see, we have a big tent. No, you're either conservative or you're not. Now, you can have a pseudo-conservative group if you want. That's fine. But don't say you're conservative and then start bringing in people who are not conservative and do not exemplify those ideals that we supposedly stand upon.
Yeah. Now, does having said that, Audrey, this is my question: does this not demonstrate or illustrate that we, as conservatives, our movement as a whole, and our ideology, and even our theology to a great extent, we are missing our identity as well as the left? And so, like you said, people just grab onto somebody like this and they say, oh, he's kind of, in a way, I think some people are kind of looking at him as an extension of Donald Trump. He's coming up against the establishment, and therefore, let's join forces with him. I think the phrase I saw in one article was, the enemy of my enemy is, what is it? If you're my enemy, then... If you're the enemy of my enemy, then you're my friend. That kind of thing.
The enemy is my friend. Yeah. I understand that. Look, I have compassion for him. I mean, he had a crime committed against him by a priest. He was sexually molested by a priest. That's what launched him into his lifestyle. Whether anybody wants, I won't get into that. But and I have great compassion for him. But when he made those comments about a 13-year-old having sex, a 13-year-old boy having sex with an adult male, being life affirming, that's what started the downfall. Why? Because there are those that have the crime of sodomy committed against them, and they don't embrace it. Okay, they don't embrace it. He's an adult. He knows there was a crime committed against him. That's not a crime. Is not life affirming.
Well, in this regard, I can't help but think that the left had a very viable argument against Steve Bannon by putting somebody like Milo Yiannopoulos, which, by the way, I understand his name was actually Milo Warden, in the position of editor at Breitbart. Now he's gone. Apparently he resigned today. But, the dancing with the alt-right kind of thing, that kind of stuff, I now understand probably the only attack against against Steve Bannon that I would actually feel would somewhat justified is putting somebody like this in charge of the editorial content of Breitbart. And so I understand that. But that said, I think I'm more concerned about the fact that we have so many conservatives that jumped on board the Milo train, and he became the poster child for freedom of speech. And I'm thinking, wow, we maybe we're just as lost as the left in some regards. You think so?
I don't know so much that we're lost as we are becoming weak. Look, I like as you know, I have nothing. I don't know him personally, and I have nothing against him. I think I appreciate his stance against Islam and his stance on free speech. Absolutely, I do. I have great compassion for him, but this should not be the idol of Christian conservatives. I saw people that I had respect for, and I won't mention their names, that were, upholding him as some kind of leader. And I thought, okay, are we really thinking about what we're doing here? Now we're starting to get lost on Islam and free speech. They're extremely important, okay? But who is it that we're using, we're elevating or exalting as someone who's supposed to be an example of our values? No, he is not. And so, and I don't care what anybody thinks about what I have to say about that. I don't dislike him at all, but I don't agree with his lifestyle. I don't care what anybody thinks of that. That's according, to my faith. I don't agree with his lifestyle, but as a person, I care about him. And I hope he gets the help that he really needs. Unfortunately, if he goes to any therapist in this country that's licensed, the APA is making sure little by little they're chipping away at turning every mental illness or disorder into something to be proud about. And pedophilia is on the way here. So don't be shocked.
I kind of discounted those remarks about the. He tried to dress that down. He tried to walk that back and rebuke. What's the word I'm thinking of? He tried to say no, I'm not for that. But when you counter that with something like, well, I'm glad the priest molested me because it taught me how to be a better gay. That kind of stuff. I'm thinking, okay, all right, I get it. Okay, you lost it. So.
He went further than that, saying that an underage boy having sex with an adult male, he said it was life affirming. That's disturbing to say that. There's a perversion, the thought there.
Yeah.
And that's the message that he was getting by someone sexually violating him.
Yeah.
So
Joe, you got a comment, Joe?
No, I'm just thinking he's a homosexual. I don't know how happy he is, but he's just a homosexual, okay?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, using their language.
You're using whose language? His language?
Yeah, their left. The
left language? No.
Yeah, exactly. He's a homosexual. I don't know how gay he is.
Yeah, but
he's
exactly.
having the Flintstones gay all time or not, but he's.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, see, a lot on our side don't want to be beaten up by the left on the gay issue. So they say, well, okay, we don't want that. We don't want to be disturbed by this. So we'll push it aside and we'll give them that. Well, okay, you know what? I don't know what your ideology is, but that's not mine. Now, I'm not making an issue out of that. But what I'm saying is, either you're standing for something or you're going to basically, as the old adage goes, you're going to fall for anything. Yeah. We're becoming weak because we're tired, we're weary in the battle of standing for what's right. And so we figure, okay, well, I don't want to be beaten up here, so I'll just let that go. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm weary too, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I agree. But, along that lines of being weary, I certainly get that. I know you have to. I know I do, Audrey. So I'm gonna assume that there are times you get ready to go on the air and you just kind of go, do I have to do this again?
I go,
I would be less than honest if I said every morning I get up and go, hey, I get to get on the air and bash leftists again. My wife is like, you're so obsessed with this. I'm like, yeah, I know it looks that way, but
it's not.
There are probably 20 other things I'd rather be doing in my retirement years than this right now. But this is a necessity. This is something like this has to be done. It isn't an option because our whole republic is at stake. And that's what motivates me to get behind a microphone every day or when I do get behind a microphone, not every day, but in the bigger picture, though, because I think the weariness comes from the emotion, when everything is emotion-driven, and that's what scares me right now. There's so many on our side of the aisle that are just kind of really into emotion rather than reason or anything else.
That's just like the left. That's just like the left.
Well, that's what I mean. We're kind of becoming like the left in a way. We're mirroring their motivation for things. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion with Audrey Russo. I'm John Matthews along with Joe Hickles. We'll be right back.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-380-2906. That's 800-380-2906. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-380-2906.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right, hey, we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we have with us Audrey Russo doing her weekly segment with us. 1 year older as of last Friday, but still on top of her game, okay? How many senior moments do you have these days, Audrey?
None. Why should I be having senior moments?
Well, I have them all the time. I'm just.
Will you give me something to look forward to? No, thanks. No. I'll pass.
I doubt you're up in the age category that I am, and I think Joe's a few years behind me. But I'm at that place, man. I knew there was going to be a change in my life when at 60 I started getting mail from ARP. I said, wait a minute, there's something going, well, why am I on their mailing list? Anyway, we were talking yesterday. We covered part of the Chris Wallace show on the Sunday Chris Wallace show. And we pretty much yesterday went through the Reince Priebus interview, and we got into Rush Limbaugh. And I want to bring you in on this part of this thing. And I've got to kind of lay the groundwork here, so that when we play the clip, it's in context. Wallace is asking Rush Limbaugh, using a phrase that Limbaugh, I guess, got from somebody over at The Intercept, a phrase called the deep state, what we refer to as a shadow government. And he was referring to the fact that he believed that the Obama administration was a shadow government and was primarily behind this attack against Donald Trump to delegitimize his presidency, to undermine his policies, and all for the sake of protecting Obama, by the way. This isn't about advancing liberal ideals or anything else. This is strictly to protect Obama. And that's what Obama's administration was always about, was protecting Obama. But anyway, he's asking Limbaugh about this. You talk about this, and basically the context of the question was he's asking him, do you think that Barack Obama is behind all these leaks and everything that's coming out of the left to undermine Donald Trump? And Rush pretty much says yes and begins to expound on it. Chris Wallace interrupts him because he wants Rush Limbaugh to go someplace else. He wants with the conversation. So he's saying, because then he turns around and says, well, yeah, we'll talk about that, but you suggested some things that President Trump may be doing wrong. So he's trying to get Limbaugh on record to, criticize Donald Trump, but it doesn't quite work as well. So anyway, where we're at here is Limbaugh goes on to say, basically what's happening, and I think the big problem in America today also, is that we redefine words. Words that meant one thing 10 years ago don't mean the same today because the Obama administration has redefined them to mean something else. Limbaugh goes on to say, yeah, we've lost the definition of immigration, for example. If you listen to the left, immigration means anybody that wants to come into the country, irregardless of laws. Now, we come up to here is that Wallace is now going to ask Rush Limbaugh a question about the domestic agenda because he believes that Rush is in agreement to some degree that Donald Trump is doing some things wrong. And so we're going to play this clip. I think Joe's got it queued up here. And I want to get your take on not Wallace's question so much, but Limbaugh's response. Go ahead, Joe, whenever you're ready.
I want to get to this question of focusing on the domestic agenda because, interestingly enough, that's something you've been saying. He needs to focus on the key things that would improve people's daily lives. There is a columnist for the Washington Post who is no conservative, and he actually wrote this week, and I don't know whether you're going to give you a heartburn. He said, Rush Limbaugh is exactly right about how Donald Trump can fix his problems, namely ignore the political chatter and focus on the domestic agenda. But I got to tell you, by historical standards, by this point, Obama stimulus had already been passed. President Trump is pretty slow on Obamacare, is pretty slow on repealing Obamacare, pretty slow on tax reform, and there's a lot of disarray inside the Republican Party on Capitol Hill.
Well, now, here I have to tiptoe. We're not talking Republicans and Democrats opposed to Trump. We're talking establishment versus Trump. Trump considered to be an outsider. The establishment doesn't want any part of Trump. They don't want him to succeed, and I would throw some Republicans in that as well. It's just the way Washington works. And this is why I think moving forward on this agenda is crucial. You mentioned Obama's stimulus. Here's the difference, and this is what Trump supporters know. It wasn't a stimulus. It was a payoff to unions, Chris. It didn't stimulate anything. We don't have a growing economy. We don't have jobs being created at a replacement level for those we had lost. We don't have anything, Obama said. He lied about
Rush,
the
you
cost
may well
of
be
premium.
right.
No, this is important stuff.
Well, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying at least he passed his program, and President Trump hasn't passed any of his programs yet.
Well, it makes my point. Here you had, I tiptoe again. You have the historic
You're not very good at tiptoeing.
African-American. Well, it's television. It's Fox News. I have deep respect. But no, seriously, you have first African-American president. You have everybody falling all over themselves to acknowledge that, to reward that. Obama was going to get everything he wanted in the first year because if anybody opposed it, they were going to be accused of being a racist or bigot or who knows what. But don't ignore the substance. The voters know that his stimulus, it doesn't matter when it got passed, he misled everybody about it. The people of this country are tired of being misled. They're tired of voting based on what candidates have told them they're going to do, and nothing ever changes. Trump has a wide berth here, Chris. The media did not make Donald Trump, and they can't destroy it.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk.
Yes, we're back.
And Joe just committed the mistake that I do. My senior moments. You clicked the wrong button, right?
No. This is even better than that. It's an automatic play.
Oh, okay, all right. Let me finish up. In fact, I'm kind of glad it cut off here because this is the punchline.
It was over.
Oh, it was? Okay, it wasn't supposed to be. Okay, I'm sorry because the punchline was following that. I must have missed that when I edited the clip. Here's the punchline, Audrey, and this is what I wanted to get your take on. Trump has a wide berth here, Chris. We heard Limbaugh say that. The media did not make Donald Trump, and they can't destroy him. But the media thinks, and when I say media, let me define ABC, CBS, NBC, New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today, LA Times, the cadre. They have a formula. They have a blueprint for destroying Republican political officials they don't like. It's not going to work on Trump. He doesn't fit that mold. They are trying to every day. It's kind of comical to watch. That's the punchline there. That I think that Limbaugh has so aptly defined the one thing that the media and the left does not understand about Donald Trump. The left, the establishment, the media did not make Donald Trump. Donald Trump made them. And he has using them the way that they're usually using everybody else. And I don't think I think those that are on the left do understand that, are totally pissed off about it. People like Chris Wallace, I think, understands he's being played and he doesn't like it. There are others on the left that don't understand what's going on and they can't figure out how can we cram this guy into our little box that we're used to cramming people into. And I wanted to get your take on that comment by Limbaugh.
Well, he's correct. Let me tell you something. He is setting precedents, and he is destroying molds that have been in place for too long. And he look, He's doing what he did to win, which was going to the American people. He's correct. Now the media, because it is in its own admission, it's close to 97 or 98% leftist. Okay, they're liberal. They make no bones about it. Now we know it's out there for everyone to see. And someone, I think, as a matter of fact, Chris Wallace in that interview when he was talking to Reince Priebus said that, well, you're making it sound like it's controlled by the state. Well, in the case of Obama, it was in the pocket of the state, so it was acting as if it were RT, in Russian television. Okay. That it was controlled by the state. That's what it appeared like. Now, they've always been in control. They were in control when it came to Bush. Any time before that. Who talked over them? Reagan talked over them. And now we have a President Trump who's talking over them, past them. He's telling it like it is. People don't like the fact that they say, well, he's not talking like a president. Well, what does that mean? You know what? Maybe he's talking exactly the way the founders wanted the president to speak.
Yeah, straightforward and to the point.
Exactly, and that's what he's doing. That's what I admire. I don't care if it doesn't look real classy to be. Look, we've dealt with, for the past 8 years, a man who sounded as if he were extremely. He did have a gift of gab. He was articulate. Okay, he was articulate, but he was quite evil. He was lying. He was hiding things from the American people. He even joked about it in one State of the Union address that you can keep your doctor if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, right? And he thought snicker that was funny because we were a bunch of schmucks to him. This is the way they think of us, and they don't know what to do with this man because he was running the show.
Yeah, well, one thing I've noticed in the press conferences that I've seen with Trump, very different from Obama. A lot of people are saying, Trump, he gets all upset with these reporters and he shuts them up and he tells them sit down and he scolds them and everything else. But one thing about Donald Trump that I've noticed is when he has these press conferences, not like Obama, who has a list of who he's going to ask to or give permission to ask. Trump will pick somebody out and just say, okay, you got a question, what? And then he deals with it he's not following notes. He's just winging it every time he gets up there. That to me, and he's not. And I really think Trump's strongest asset, believe it or not, in my opinion, is the fact that he's not an eloquent speaker. I think that works to his favor because people listen to him, and even he makes mistakes, he makes dumb statements, but we go, yeah, well, who doesn't do that? You know what I mean?
He's a real person. He's not some polished politician. And that's what the American people like. They want somebody like them. Guess what? The founders want somebody like them. This is amazing to me. I'm just watching them implode, the left, especially the media. They cannot handle this man. How dare he talk past? How dare he say he doesn't need us? How dare he say that we're liars because we are? Yeah. How dare he do that? They could say whatever they want. This man's on a mission. He's going to get the work done that he promised the American people he would get done. It's going to get done. And, he was talking about, I know Limbaugh talked about what the sum of reference does, deep state. Well, yeah, it's establishment Republicans who really are not conservative in any way, shape, or form. They may pretend to be to their constituency, but they're not. And they are the ones that can't stand him, and they don't want him there. You remember, because they play golf and they pate with all the people on the left. I mean, McCain is a leftist bootlicker. I guess the only reason we have him is because he's a number on our side, but he couldn't be more left. He's just full of it.
Yeah, we got to take a break here. But I think one thing that Trump has exposed is that we do have a state-run media, contrary to what they're trying to convince the American people. They are the enemy of the people. They are the opposition party. We got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion here with Audrey Russo from Real Talk Radio. Go for it, Joe.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The Conservative Syndicate.net, the adult in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them the potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right, hey, we're back. And hey, just a quick reminder, you might want to check out our website. In fact, you should check out our website. In fact, if you don't check out our website, we'll notify NSA. All right, the conservativesyndicate.net. You can pick up this archive, any of our archives, anything that you want to know about our show, the people on it, and why we do what we do. The conservativesyndicate.net. Okay, closing up our conversation here with Audrey today. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to get your take on Trump's latest appointment as the National Security Advisor, Army Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. And, I'll just say this. My comment is, reading what I've read about this guy so far, I'm kind of wondering why he didn't pick this guy to begin with.
Well, this is my concern about McMaster. The only concern I have so far is, and where I still think that Flynn should have been, except for what he did by not making a full disclosure to Vice President Pence, he understood what Islam was all about. McMaster, on the other hand, here's a statement that he made more recently. He said the Islamic State uses perverted interpretation of religion. Not true. Couldn't be more untrue. That the Islamic State is the Reformation of Islam, just like Al-Qaeda is, just like it is coming from people who are Islamic scholars. That is, when you say Reformation, like they say, well, there was a Reformation in Christianity. I said, yeah, that means going back to the beginning because it was going off course. Going back to the beginning is what you have when you have the Islamic State. It is not a perversion. It is Islam. Period. So that's my only concern I have about McMaster. That's his perspective. And it's for an extremely intelligent man, that is a very ignorant perspective on Islam.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that. That's the big fallacy, and that's why Islam has been such an effective tool by the left to ostracize and label and put the rest of us in the bigot category, because the narrative that's being advanced is that Islam is a religion of peace, and I don't even think it's a religion. I don't look at it as a religion. It's a theocracy. It is a theocratic way of thinking when your entire government, you look at the constitutions of states like Iran and some of these hardcore Islamic republics, And what you find is that they tell you the national religion is Islam. There is, if we did that over here in the United States, if we said the national religion is Christianity, everybody would be up in arms. But they declare that, and they believe it, and their whole government is developed around that thought of eradicating the world from every.
Sharia. That's Sharia law. It's Sharia Islamic law. It's based upon the Quran, the Hadith. So, and they want, the majority of Muslims that are here want that here.
Yeah, but I do think that this is something I think unique, something we haven't seen in quite a while, that we have 3 military people in positions that have to deal with military issues. Wow, what a concept. We've got James Mattis as Secretary of Defense, John Kelly as Secretary of Homeland Security, and now McMaster as National Security Advisor. What a concept. Let's use military people to talk about military problems.
Yeah, it's our national security. That's I know. I respect President Trump for that he respects those, in the military. But we just have to. We'll see what happens with this. He does have people around him. He has Frank Gaffney, who has advised him correctly when it comes to Islam. But that's my concern. That's where I think that we should have that. It's a shame what happened with Flynn, because I think he, in this respect, was a better choice when it comes to the perspective of Islam. Because that kind of thinking based upon that statement by McMaster, then he would be in favor of nation building in Islamic countries, and that is pure idiocy.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But let's hope between John Bolton and Michael Flynn, which I'm sure is still going to sit there someplace.
I would love Bolton. I was really kind of disappointed that he didn't put Bolton in there. He should have.
Yeah. Well, I think between the two of them, I'm sure Flynn is going to sit in some kind of advisory capacity, even if it's off the record kind of thing. So let's see how that evolves. Audrey, we're at the end of our time with you today, but I wanted to give you some time to tell people what you got going on in your show this week.
Oh, get your brains ready to get info, because we have Diana West, we have the author, and we have Stephen Bucci, Dr. Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation, and Calvin Beisner from the Cornwall Alliance, and he's going to talk about what's wrong with the carbon tax.
All right, and you can catch Audrey's show 8:00 on the East Coast out there at audreyrusso.com on Thursdays. Thursday 8:00 out on the East Coast. That would be 5:00 out here, right after our show. There you go. There's a double whammy for you. Listen to our show, then go to audreyrusso.com and pick her show up at 5:00 out here in the left coast and 8:00 on the East Coast. Thank you so much, dear. And again, a belated birthday. I wish we would have had John in last week. I had some really good things cooked up for you.
It gets better. I'm on now. Thanks, guys. God bless you both.
All right. We'll talk to you later. All right. Okay. Now, let's see. We're coming up at the top of the hour here. And any closing remarks here, Joe? We got about a minute to kill.
Well, thinking about the Chris Wallace and Limbaugh thing there, and Wallace wanted to compare Donald Trump's first term, his first 4 years spin at taking over America with Donald Trump. And what Wallace neglects to realize is everybody was on Barack Obama's side in Congress.
Yeah.
He had houses.
Well, I think even more to the
whatever
point.
they had to do to get him whatever he wanted, and as they were saying, he didn't want to be called a racist if he went against the first black president in America, so they were going to give him anything he wanted. Now, on the other hand, Donald Trump is sitting here basically by himself. Limbaugh won't say it, but I'll say it. Yes, you have Republicans that want to fight against Donald Trump. That's why he doesn't have his entire cabinet in place yet.
Yep.
Period. End of sentence.
Yep, exactly. Well, we'll come in a little bit more, and I had a remark I want to make, too. We got to go to the Edwards Notebook right now, pay some bills. We'll be back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
The never-ending campaign against President Trump. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. The election of Donald Trump for President of the United States represents the desire of many Americans to see our republic rescued from utter oblivion. Of course, we the people who desire America to be great again are not so naive to think that Trump alone can improve the fortunes of the United States. However, we do know that the President is the Commander-in-Chief who has certain powers and responsibilities which are enumerated in the U.S. Constitution. The President is supposed to do all he can to protect the United States of America. Also, the last time I checked, when it comes to the issue of defending our country, it would not hurt if Congress and the judicial branch would agree. But unfortunately, we live at a time when a large segment of government and society are positioned to expend all of their energies to stop the administration of Donald J. Trump. Of course, on the surface, it seems like it's a political battle, but also it is spiritual in nature. You see, you have the progressive Democrats at war against Christian influences that are a major part of the foundation of what has been great about our republic. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews,
The latter-day prophet, baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
and Joe Hakos.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. And I hope you enjoyed the first hour with Audrey Russo. You know, she shot me a little note here after the show, apologizing to me for her compassionate tirade against Milo Yiannopoulos. I guess that's how you say his name. No apology needed. I actually don't disagree with her. I was just trying to maybe do some penance here in the fact that I kind of jumped on the bandwagon with this guy for a little bit. But once the more and more I started vetting him and listening to him, and then, of course, the remarks that he made that has now cost him his job at Breitbart, I realized that, we basically have, this guy's like bipolar. He's politically bipolar. And, boy, that's not somebody you want sitting up there walking point for your movement, especially in this day and age where everything becomes major. And in line with that, we're in a short segment here. We're supposed to have Don Dix coming on. I know he sent me a note. He's in traffic, and let's hope he gets home in time. But this whole concept or this whole thing about impeaching Donald Trump, Joe is. Oh, I know what I want to do. Let me close up my comment here. Joe had mentioned in the first hour here. Chris Wallace made the assertion that Barack Obama in his first 30 days, and see, that's what we have to put this in context. He was telling Rush Limbaugh, well, Obama got his programs passed by this time in office, and that's not true. Barack Obama didn't have the stimulus plan signed, I believe, in his first 30 days. And by the way, the reason that happened, if it was within the first 30 days, is because George Bush had already laid it out. It's just the only reason George Bush didn't sign that was because his tenure was up. And it was making its way through the congressional ranks. That thing had already been debated. It already had been decided. That stimulus package was created by George Bush's staff, his people. So Barack Obama just had to sign his name on something that somebody else did, and he gets credit for it. And it wasn't even a stimulus, as Limbaugh alluded to. It was to pay off unions. Remember how Obama talked about the fact that he wasn't, at that point, they were no longer trying to create jobs. They were trying to save jobs. Remember that? It wasn't, we're going to create jobs with this. It's that we're saving jobs that would otherwise be lost. And what were the most of those jobs? They were public sector jobs. You know, people that were actually, there was a big debate going on. Some of these people wanted raises, things like that. So the idea that Chris Wallace would even allude to the fact that Obama did more in his first 30 days than Donald Trump has done in his, and being handcuffed, both hands tied behind his back, that kind of thing is just an illusion. But here, I just want to touch on this real brief here, because I've only got a couple minutes here in the short segment here. The idea of impeaching Donald Trump, I don't think there's a snowflake's chance in hell Donald Trump is going to be impeached. But that's not going to stop the left from advancing the narrative, because that will keep their base solidified. It'll keep their base fired up. It'll keep their base incited. The promise that Donald Trump will be removed. And I was looking at an article in the International Business Times, and they're comparing Donald Trump's, Chuck Todd compared Donald Trump's Russian situation, the allegations of Russian tampering in the elections, with Iran-Contra. No bigger scandal since Iran-Contra. Well, Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton's former running mate, says that this is on the same level as Watergate, that there was a president that was impeached in 1972 and had to resign over an attack on the DNC during a presidential election in 1972. First of all, it wasn't an attack on the DNC. It was a break-in. It was a crime. People broke and entered into the DNC headquarters, and we had documentation and proof that that took place. And so, yes, rightfully so, there were charges brought against the president for doing what he did. And he wasn't charged with breaking into the DNC, by the way. He was charged with obstruction of justice, trying to hide information that would indict him with the charges that there was a break-in that was organized by his people. A completely different thing. Everything with Trump is illusion. It is allegations, innuendo. And even in this Business Times article, they start off, before they start talking about Tim Kaine saying Donald Trump should be impeached because this is on the same level of Watergate, they turn around and say, well, nothing has been proven. The very first line, nothing has been proven, but if it is proven, oh, boy, watch the fireworks. And then he goes on to say, well, Tim Kaine puts this on the same level as Watergate. Not even close. Not even close. Give us some proof. Give us some evidence. Otherwise, shut the hell up about impeaching him because you don't like him. All right? There. End of story. We got to go to a break. We come back. We should have Don Dix with us. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Middle America doesn't have an anger problem. It's got an idiot problem. The Conservative Syndicate, doing our part to eradicate the disease of idiocracy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment, and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
We need to keep illegals out.
Am I not speaking English?
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American.
All right, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And we normally would have Don on at this time. I just got another note from him. He is stuck in traffic again. If you live out here in California, you know exactly what we're talking about. He just got off the off-ramp, and it was closed. They closed the off-ramp. You know, the area of the state that he lives in right now has been the biggest benefactor of the stimulus plan that we were just talking about earlier. All the redevelopment and reinvestment acts and the freeways out here, and they have our freeways right now so discombobulated. I mean, it's just a travesty on the amount of money that's being spent to build carpool lanes that nobody uses. People in California aren't into carpooling, okay? Because most people don't just go to and from work. They have other things that they do in between going to and coming from. And so, you know, all these overhead carpool lanes, and the only one that's worth anything is the one that heads down south to Pachanga, the casinos down south. Yeah, that one is always occupied. But so anyway, he'll get with us as soon as he can. I don't want him endangering his life trying to get here to the show. So if he gets there by the bottom of the hour, then we'll bring him on. If not, then we'll just have to pick him up next week if we can. Let's go back to our clips, Joe. We left the last hour talking about Rush Limbaugh was talking about the fact that the media did not make Donald Trump, and they cannot destroy him. Now, the conversation with Chris Wallace and Rush Limbaugh continues. And as I left, the last quote here was that Limbaugh was laying out that the press and the media have a formula, and they have a blueprint for destroying Republican political officials they don't like. And it's not going to work on Trump because he doesn't fit that mold. They're trying every day. It's kind of comical to watch. That was the last quote, the end of the last quote. Wallace then interrupts him and says, wait a minute, I'm not interrupting you because we agree. I'm just moving you along. He doesn't like hearing this. But anyway, let's play this next clip because Rush Limbaugh follows up with his comments here about how and what the media and the leftist establishment are trying to do. Go for it, Joe.
All right, here you go.
When Trump sends out a tweet and says the fake media and all those organizations you just listed are not my enemy, they're the enemy of the American people, does that go too far?
Well, again, not to his voters. His voters have fought this for the longest time. I think that there's something to it. Enemy of the people, enemy of the state, they're enemies of Trump. And Trump won the election. On substance. Trump did more interviews. He explained his agenda more than any political presidential candidate ever has in my memory, and he has tried to stick to it as people perceive it. And this effort to stop him, this is what people conclude, anti-American, anti-this. It clearly is anti-Trump. And Trump has a connection with his voters that most politicians don't have. I understand it perhaps better than anybody in media. And that connection that he has is not anything that anybody else can break. Only he can break it.
I think a brilliant assessment of the relationship between Donald Trump and his supporters. Don't you think, Joe?
Yeah, that's exactly what is right. But Wallace, it was later in the show, a Democrat strategist said, yeah, he used the same stats about the percentage of people that voted for Trump. And they said, no matter what Trump does, there'll still be. That's not correct. What Trump does is important. People are waiting to see what happens here. See if they actually get a tax cut, some tax reform, not just a tax cut, tax reform. See if we actually get rid of Obamacare.
Yeah,
and get a secure border. We get a border wall built, and we have a secure border, and we start having an immigration policy that's centered around the needs of the American people, not the immigrant that's coming over here.
Yeah, because, see, the left, let's kind of just put this in perspective in terms of the numbers here. Limbaugh had alluded earlier to the fact that a lot of people were claiming about illegal immigrants voting and everything else. And there's some studies out there from True the Vote and some other organizations that actually state they feel that their evidence shows at least 3 to 4 million illegals voted in this last election, which, by the way, is about the same margin that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. So when we
she can thank California for that.
Yeah, and you certainly can, and perhaps a little bit of New York, but mostly out here in California. We ran the numbers here. Trump would have beat Hillary Clinton by several 100,000 votes out here in California had the illegals not been voting, and we know they vote out here. We know they do. And nobody, that's the big elephant in the room that nobody wants to admit because, quote unquote, you can't provide any evidence. And that's the leftist mantra. Prove you don't have any evidence to what we're saying. Well, we don't know exactly how many illegal votes were cast, but we know that they were. We just know they are. And we know that happens every election.
I find that hilarious. You don't have any evidence that you say that they voted. Well, you don't have any evidence that Russia did anything to the election either.
Yeah, and you don't have any evidence that they didn't vote. Okay, so let's put things in proper perspective here. But what Limbaugh is alluding to here, and I think just very accurately, is that the only person that can destroy Donald Trump is Donald Trump.
Yes.
And the only way he can do that is not by maybe making mistakes, maybe making claims that aren't true in terms of numbers at a rally or, some of the things that he's alluded to, riots in Sweden and all this other stuff. That's inconsequential. What people are going to measure Trump on is, did he do what he said he was going to do? Or is he at least trying to do it in the face of all the obstruction that's coming from both sides of the political aisle? That's what he's going to be gauged on. That's what he's going to be measured by. And the polls and everything else that's out there, totally irrelevant. The polls were irrelevant when they predicted a Hillary Clinton landslide, and they're irrelevant now, and they'll be irrelevant in the future unless, of course, Donald Trump fails to produce the way that he says he's going to produce. If he does, I'm sorry, there's nobody that Democrats going to be put up in 2020 to defeat him. It isn't going to happen. It just won't happen because whether or not people like it, the left they may be able to stimulate their base to come out and vote for one of the Joaquin brothers. What's their name? Castro brothers, somebody like that. But they're not going to get enough people there to uproot what's going on here right now. And I don't care how violent they get. I don't care what kind of protests they have. They make all the noise they want. We'll just grease the wheels with production, with results. And in fact, I was reading the other day here, Joe. I was reading I've been doing some research on this quote unquote leftist movement, the Resist Trump movement. And one of the things that I saw in one of the articles I read is some of these national organizers that are trying to bring all these little things that are coming together, they're spread out right now. In that aspect, they're kind of like the Tea Party. Some of them are grassroots, but they're being funded and directed by other organizations. And then you got the big organization, Organizing for America, which is Barack Obama's operation, and they're trying to.
That's what I was going to get at. These are not grassroots. This is directly associated with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. They want to stop Donald Trump. They want to stop Donald Trump from getting rid of Obamacare and saving Obama's legacy. That's all this is about, as you stated before in the earlier part of the program.
Yeah, and that they have to. If the Republicans can do anything to dismantle Obamacare, whether it's repeal or replace or whatever, if it gets renamed from anything other than Obamacare, Obama's legacy is toast. Okay, I think it's going to be toast anyways, but it'll just be toast faster. Okay, it'll just completely discombobulate the left. They'll have nothing to run on. They'll have nothing to throw out there to their minions. No bones to chuck across the aisle, that kind of thing. But in the bigger picture,
what they're trying to do right now is they are trying to just slow everything down so they can get some kind of organization in Congress, so they can peel off Republicans that don't believe in anything anyway. They want to just be. What do you think they're at the town halls, just creating havoc at town halls that Republicans have in their own districts right now? That's all they're trying to do is create havoc, trying to peel off some Republicans so they get some kind of Obamacare still left there. If they don't get rid of this thing entirely, then the Republicans aren't worth the R that they have behind their name, and they deserve to be tossed out.
Yeah. I did find it interesting. I was looking at I know. Let me get back to my point here before I lose sight of it. I'll have a senior moment here and forget it. The issue here is that some of these organizers were voicing concerns about the current trend of protests. There are people showing up at the town halls of Republican officials, people like Jason Chaffetz, and even Mitch McConnell was accosted yesterday when he went before VFW. Of course, I think McConnell handled it the best of any of them. He listened to the dissenter's question and then said thank you, and then just moved on and went on with. Didn't even answer it. He just thanks for your question, thanks for coming, and just went on with what he was talking about. But what they were expressing is that there's evolving protesters burnout. That these protesters are burning out. Well, there's a reason they're burning out. Most of them aren't used to doing anything. Most of them aren't used to jobs. They're not used to discipline or anything else. And they're just they like making the noise. But when you're completely emotional driven, when everything is completely emotion, and I'm not saying emotion is a bad thing. Emotion and compassion put together is very powerful. But when you're just emotional about something, and as we've pointed out in this show and documented, a lot of these people couldn't even explain to you what they're protesting about. They just show up. Somebody said, yeah, it's all about get rid of Trump. Well, why? Because he's a tyrant. He's a bigot. He's a hater. He's a racist. Okay? Explain that to me. Well, I don't know what it means, but that's what he is. That's really the average protester's mentality. And so what we're seeing here is when you run strictly on adrenaline catches up with you, and you all of a sudden have no energy to do anything. I've done it. I know what it's like. I know Joe has. I know many of you have. You're doing something on adrenaline. I like to use the example of preaching in church. When I go in to give a message in a church or a conference, whether it's a church or a political event, which I've done in the past also, you get up on that stage and there is an adrenaline rush. And that adrenaline propels you, and it motivates you to talk. It empowers your compassion as you're talking. But I can tell you, after a 1-hour sermon in church on Sunday, I feel like I've just done something for 8 hours nonstop. And the adrenaline wears off, and you are exhausted. And that's what's happening with these protesters, in my opinion. You get out there and you get the adrenaline, and you start shouting and you're screaming, and then the adrenaline wears off. And then somebody says, hey, we got to go to another rally. Sooner or later, you're going, you know what? I'm tired. I'm beat. That is what I think is going to happen here. I think another 60 days of this, and I think these people are going to go whimpering in a corner. And the only people who are going to be left out there carrying the ball are going to be these media elites.
Well, the thing is you let them go whimper in a corner. But the thing is something has to get done so they can go whimper in a corner and say, we had accomplished absolutely nothing. And that's what they need to be made to feel like. They accomplished nothing, because otherwise they're going to be re-emboldened and they'll be back at it again as soon as the 2018 elections come by.
Yeah. Hey, and make no mistake about this, guys. The reason there's such a sense of urgency here is the fact that there's 23 Democratic senators up for re-election in 2018. Think about that. That's the sense of urgency right now. It's not 2020, okay? It's 2018. 23 Democrats, 9 Republicans, 2 independents up for re-election. Think about that for a minute. We got to go to break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-380-2906. That's 800-380-2906. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-380-2906.
We need to keep illegals out.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American.
All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got with us Don Dix doing his weekly segment with us. He's out there in the Inland Valley, the land of traffic. Boy, I tell you, I was just telling Joe before the break here, talking about how the majority of what's going on out here in California, the Redevelopment and Reinvestment Act, all the stimulus money, building carpool lanes on freeways. You know, it's like carpool lanes that nobody uses on freeways, and you got stuck in an off-ramp, right? You there, Don?
I am. Good day to you guys. Yeah, you know, we are in the final throes of a $1 billion freeway improvement, and it's kind of gotten down to the point to where they're doing things on the freeway, and they just aren't properly announcing it because they want to get things done, and so you never know. It's always a mystery how you're going to get home. It's funny, I was talking to Andrew McCarthy, who's the guy that prosecuted the blind sheikh who died over the weekend for the 1993 World Trade.
Congratulations on your death, blind sheikh.
Right.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Yes, there isn't a hole deep enough or dark enough for that guy. But at any rate, you know, I had the same situation arise with Andy McCarthy. He drives between New Jersey and New York, and he was delayed due to traffic, so we had to talk to him while he was in his car. It's sort of a East Coast, West Coast problem.
Well, you're breaking up, Don. You're going in and out on us.
Uh-oh. Not sure why that is.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you're just going in and out.
Oh. No clue why, guys. It's the same way we connect all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're okay right now. Go ahead. You're with McCartney.
Well, yeah, we interviewed Andrew McCarthy because of the situation with the this weekend. The blind sheikh died, so we wanted to have him on the radio to hear what his take was on that, as well as what's going on in the Trump administration. So it was a very illuminating interview. He's a great guy. You should have him on sometime.
Well, can you give us any insight to what he was talking about?
Well, yeah. I mean, the first thing we talked about to familiarize listeners with was the sort of the journey that he was on, because when he started the prosecution, he was basically in the same place that most people in America are regarding radical Islam. He might say he was a denier about the threat, and his learning curve, because he had to learn what was it that motivated the blind sheikh, what were his what were his beliefs? Why did he do it? He ended up completely turning around and realizing that the jihad is a real issue. It's a legitimate concern. It's bigger than the left paints it. Certainly a bigger deal than the Obama administration would let us, know about. So, we learned about his journey into an understanding of that, and then we brought the conversation forward to what's going on right now. One of the pieces of bad news that he shared was that I was always hoping that the unindicted co-conspirators from the Holy Land Foundation trial in 2008 that Eric Holder locked up in 2009 would see the light of day. And he said, no, unfortunately, the statute of limitations has run out on that. But he said it would be absolutely good evidence to use in a future trial, or
all right, you're garbling
the notion of making them, designating them a terrorist organization. So it was kind of a good news.
Yeah, you're breaking up again. You're breaking up and garbling up.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna have to terminate this.
No wire connection is out, guys. I have no idea.
Okay, we're gonna hang this up here, and then I'll call you back here. Why don't we do this, Joe? Go ahead and run a commercial, and let's see if we can fix this during the commercials.
Okay, we can do that. All right, here we go.
Since its founding, America has always been admired and envied throughout the world for its system of government, one that empowers its citizens to seek their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No other country or nation in history has benefited from its diversity, simply due to the opportunities available to anyone from anywhere. But there have been and are those who envy our freedom for a very different reason. And today we find ourselves as never before being threatened by this formidable foe intent on our destruction. For this reason, Act for America exists. Act for America is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots national security organization with over 300,000 members and 1,000 chapters focused on educating, engaging, and mobilizing citizens and elected officials to impact legislative outcomes to protect America against terrorism both here and abroad. As a result, our network has driven the education process toward the successful passage of 43 bills in 22 states. We continue to expand our nationwide volunteer chapter network, training citizens to recognize and help prevent criminal activity and terrorism in the United States while preserving the civil liberties protected by the United States Constitution. To find out more, check us out at actforamerica.org. That's actforamerica.org.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Okay, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate. We're having a little bit of difficulty hooking up with Don Dix here. I don't know. I do know the issue's not on our side for a change. But we'll see what's happening. We'll see if he's able to call in. I told him to call in here. I haven't been able to connect with him. But anyway, he was talking about the situation with the prosecuting of some of these Islamic radicals. Was I hearing them right, Joe?
Yeah, the blind sheikh, the first bombing of the Twin Towers in New York, and the unindicted co-conspirators of 9/11. Basically, CARE was one of them, and so it's been really nice to see those guys get their comeuppance. But our judicial system is not meant for speed, for one thing, and it's obviously at times not even meant for justice at sometimes, especially when you have people like Eric Holder in charge of it.
Well, we'll see how that materializes here. But Moving on here. Let's just move on because I do have one other clip here that we have set up here. You back with us, Don?
I think so. Is this any better?
Yeah. Well, so far.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, okay. So you were talking about the prosecution. You were saying that on one of the accused, the statute of limitations had run out, and that you were looking at. Are they still going to try to prosecute anybody?
Not from that trial, no. There's no way to, there's statute of limitations on the Holy Land Foundation trial, and all the evidence and any of the co-conspirators has run out.
Wow. What a shame. What a shame that when you acts against Americans that they would have a statute of limitations on something like that.
I agree. There were 300 unindicted co-conspirators that were turned up during the Holy Land Foundation trial, and one of the accomplishments, if you want to call it that, of the Obama administration is that they successfully kept all of that evidence locked up. Several congressmen tried to access it. Louis Gohmert, Frank... I can't remember. Michelle Bachmann did while she was still in Congress, and the Obama administration would not allow access to it. So it can still be used in future trials as evidence, but any indictment is resulting from that trial is not going to happen. But the good news is Andy McCarthy, who was a 3 out of 10 on the enthusiasm gauge for a Trump presidency, based on the last 30 days, has moved to an 8 on the enthusiasm scale. So, he's very positive about this. He's very agrees with the Gorsuch nomination, likes the McMaster choice for National Security Advisor. So he was very complimentary on what the Trump administration has done since the inauguration.
You know, we were talking about this when we had Audrey Russo on last hour, and I think this has got to be. I can't remember this ever being like this. I may be wrong. It just may be my memory, but this is the first time that I can remember in my lifetime where we've got 3 military people in charge of organizations that actually have to deal with military. We have Jane Mattis as Secretary of Defense. We've got John Kelly in Homeland Security, and then we've got Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster as National Security Advisor. And I can't think of any president of my time. I don't even think Reagan had that many military people involved. Am I right?
Not directly that I recall. I think this is definitely an enhancement. It really speaks to Trump's ability to organize a team. I think that's, it's the business sense of a business owner.
Yeah, it's like, let's get people that know how the operations work to help us set up the operations instead of political hacks that want to try to politicize it. I think from my initial feeling on this, just a gut check, it remains to be seen. But the idea here is that we've gone from perhaps fighting wars on a political front to fighting wars on a military front for the purpose of winning and not losing. I think that's how I'm assessing it at this point. Would you concur with that?
Well, we are in an environment today in the world where you're not going to fight radical Islam politically, and that's what this last administration was trying to do. Political solutions with countries like Iran don't work. And so putting us on a military footing, rebuilding our military, taking these threats seriously, very important. And everybody that I know and talk to is agreeing that the right steps have been taken.
Yeah, I think so. So far, I'm kind of impressed with the idea that we actually put people in positions of decision making that have been out on the front lines, that understand what the war is about, understand how to win, and let's hope that that's a signal of things to come here. On the other front, one of the things we've been talking about in depth the last couple of days is of course the media out there trying to I call them constitutional terrorists. They have the First Amendment, which they can hide behind, to come out and try to destroy, circumvent not only selected individuals, but the entire country, in my opinion. I do believe that they, as one person phrased it, they are the opposition party. I think it was Mattis who referred to them as another constituency. And to look at them within that view, I think it's a very accurate way of describing what's happening here. And one thing I find remarkable was Chris Wallace over the weekend interviewing Reince Priebus, Rush Limbaugh, and eventually Mr. Establishment himself, Karl Rove, and sitting here basically trying to protect his place as a media elite under the guise of a free press. He kept talking about the free press rather than freedom of the press, as if to say, and exclusive of the First Amendment, the fact that we as private citizens have the right to freedom of the press, meaning we can say what we want. So I find nothing wrong with Donald Trump, lambasting these guys, not just as president, but as a private citizen, you have the right to do that. But the idea of a free press, meaning we get to operate and do what we want, and you just have to deal with it, that kind of thing. So what was your take on that?
Look, the one thing that the Donald Trump presidency has pulled back the curtain on is the fact that the media and the press in this country should be more rightly called the media, not the media. I agree. The media has the cloak is pulled back. We're realizing that the media is not there just to report the news and to illuminate what's going on. They're putting their political spin into everything that's news today, and it's completely detrimental to informing the public the way that the public needs to be informed in order for the public to react to what the government is doing. We've been set up in this country, and the media is completely criminal in their acts against, they're no longer the fourth estate. They no longer provide the job to the public that they were intended to provide. So, Donald Trump has got an uphill battle at this point, unfortunately. We knew it from the beginning, but what we're really seeing now is how much worse it is than we ever dreamed.
I would like your opinion or your take on what you know. You're on talk radio every day like we are, and I know you do your research and everything else. I'd like to know, in your opinion, I know this is opinion, in your opinion, how deep is the collusion between the Republicans, the Democrats, and the media in taking Donald Trump down?
Oh, I think it's very deep. I think that when you include the Republicans in this triad, what you're talking about really is not necessarily the term that we've just heard, which is the deep state. The deep state essentially meaning the national security, the intel departments, the people that sort of run around in the shadows. But now we're learning that deep state is probably broader than we ever imagined. We have an entire 10 square mile of land dedicated to continuing business as usual. Now, I don't think you can mistake the fact that Reince Priebus has moved over, that you've got certain Republicans, elected officials that are supporting Donald Trump. But embedded within this entire government, mostly as a result of the last 8 years of the Obama administration, are ideologues from the EPA to the Department of Justice to the Department of State and the Department of Education. Ideologues. And, that doesn't necessarily mean Democrats. It could mean Republicans, too. But largely within both parties, I would say the Democratic Party has been dragged further to the left by some of the actors and organizations. The Republican Party has been drugged further to the left than usual, but you have within the Republican Party people like me, for instance, I'm not going to say like us, who are working to restore the Republican Party to its original principles. When you look at the platform of the National Party and the platform of the California Republican Party, that tells me where I think that the party itself should be. But when you're talking about the establishment, the operators inside D.C., the political action committees, the think tanks, I don't necessarily, see a dividing line in party. I think that there are a lot of people that have a huge investment in business as usual, and that's what Donald Trump is fighting.
You know, Don, I want to say this, and I certainly admire your desire to restore the Republican Party, and I'm not gonna try to counter that anyway. But that seems like a task on par with Donald Trump trying to fight the establishment and the media at the same time. I really, how do you think? How will you and those who think like you restore the Republican Party? Because I, for one, just my opinion, I think it's on life support and somebody just needs to pull the plug.
Well, I can't. First of all, I think that the alternative to the Republican Party is a third party, and I think we're still a ways away from that. What I've chosen to do is work with inside the Republican Party at the ground level, at the county level, the building block of the party, to get that piece of it back to what it's supposed to do, which is to register voters. The registration effort in at least in the area that I'm in, has fallen by the wayside. We've lost tremendous ground. I know you have in Orange County, Southern California. We have in the Riverside County area. So the first thing is getting the party back to fundamentals, registering Republicans, then getting the vote out, coordinated efforts to elect conservatives. And in our area, there are conservatives to be elected. We've got some great state legislators from Melissa Melendez to Senator Mike Morrell, Senator Jeff Stone. There are some great people there. We've lost a couple of seats in this area, which gave over the supermajority in the California state legislature to the Democrats. And we're going to work to get that seat back. That's really where the battle is, trying to get back at least control in Sacramento out of the supermajority status, which basically gives the progressive Democrats a carte blanche. That's what I mean by working within the Republican Party.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. That's fair enough, and I can't say that we aren't doing the same thing on this side. I look at it more in the ideological aspect of saying we're trying to rebuild the conservative movement, not necessarily the Republican Party, but the conservative movement the same way. We need to take back our schools, city councils, work up to state assemblies, and then let's see what we can do from there. That's how I'm seeing it. So we're not off the mark in terms of at least what we see in terms of the target, where we need to start. Okay, Don, we're out of time here. I wanted to give you a moment here to plug what you're doing there because I know you're doing a lot. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, John. Particularly for Southern California listeners, I am going to have the opportunity to be on a radio program out of L.A. tomorrow morning called The Morning Answer with Jennifer Horn and Brian Whitman from 6 to 9 a.m. So anybody in the area that wants to get a little bit more of me and that program, great program, you can tune in between 6 to 9 on 870 a.m. in Southern California. Otherwise, just if you're somewhere in the country and you're looking to become a part of the solution, try to find a local chapter of Act for America to plug into, or really any conservative group, and just get busy, get out of the stands, get down on the playing field, because we need everybody, because Donald Trump can't do this alone.
Yeah. Have you actually made it to 870 a.m.?
Just tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Just for the morning. Excited about it, being on the show with them, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Wow, that's outstanding. That increases your radius by about 100 miles. That's outstanding. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Okay. All right, Don. Well, thanks again for taking the time and rushing through the traffic to get here. I really appreciate your effort here. All right, guys, we're coming up on the end of the show here. And, Joe, we got about 20 seconds here. You got any parting shots here before we go?
Yeah, I want people to be interested in the repeal of Obamacare. It is coming up. You're going to see some things next week come out of Congress. I don't know how good it's going to be, but be prepared for it. And if you don't like what they're doing, let them know next week. You're going to hear a lot about Obamacare next week coming out of Congress.
All right, guys. Yeah, and we'll be on top of that. We'll be watching that also. So, all right, we will see you tomorrow. More to cover, more to do. The news cycle is tremendous right now. Stay with us, or we'll see you back there. Just stay with us. Stay loyal to us. TheConservativeSyndicate.net. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hayko, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.